I am so excited about today's video because some of the biggest aha moments in my life happened because of the books on this list. So I hope that you're ready to get a little bit deep, a little bit emotional, and possibly a little bit cheesy with me as we dive into this list of 10 self-help books that have changed my life. There are books that helped me heal and let go of the past, books that shifted my mindset, books that made me laugh, and books that made me cry, but all of these books had a big impact on me in some way. And so I wanted to share them with you in the hopes that you might find something that helps you improve your life as well. I tried to set up this list in chronological order, so that means that we'll go through the list in roughly the order that I read them. And that means that for the first book, we're going to go all the way back to 15 years ago when I first graduated college and I read a little book called The Secret. I want to set the stage for this book a little bit. So it was 2008, it was the middle of the Great Recession. I had just graduated college and I was running out of money. I was down to like the last few dollars in my bank account and I couldn't find a job. And while I had a lot of friends who were in the same situation as I was, they had parents who were able to send them money to help them out while they were searching for a job. But meanwhile, I had already lost both of my parents and I had no home to go back to and no one to depend on. Now, I do have to admit that one of the reasons that I was having such a hard time finding a job was because I was being super picky about the kind of job that I wanted to take. If I wanted to work in a nursing home or a school, I could have found a job just like that. But I didn't want to work in a school or a nursing home. I had my heart set on working in a hospital with adults. And those kind of medical SLP jobs are a little bit harder to find, or at least that's how it was for me back then in Chicago. So I was watching the numbers in my bank account slowly tick down towards zero when I had a friend recommend this book to me that was called Rhonda Byrne's The Secret. And the idea that the way that we think and how we focus our thoughts and energy can help us manifest our dreams and goals was a brand new concept for me. This might sound a little bit weird, but I had never put a lot of thought into what I wanted my life to look like or the kind of life that I wanted to lead. So I started to build a vision for myself about what I wanted my life to look like. And I began saying affirmations to myself every day that the right job would come to me, how much money I would make in that job. And I visualized myself paying off my student loans with that money. And you know what? It worked. I got exactly the job that I wanted and I was able to negotiate the dream salary that I'd set for myself as my goal. But something really uncomfortable had to happen first before I was able to land that job. And unlike most manifestation videos, I actually have proof that this happened. So if you would like to hear that story about what it took for me to manifest my dream job and all the other things I've manifested throughout the years, drop me this emoji down below or comment, yes, let's manifest, if that's something you're interested in.
I think one of the hardest parts of this was overcoming the embarrassment and self-consciousness that I felt about trying to visualize these grand things for myself and believing that I deserved them, as well as saying positive affirmations without feeling like a huge cheese ball when I was saying them, or being able to say them when I was feeling down, because that's the time when I needed to be saying them the most. So once I overcame some of those hurdles and limiting beliefs, it really helped me shift my mindset.
Also, I forgot to mention that I will make sure to link all of these books as well as a special free 30-day discount code for Audible, which is how I prefer to consume books nowadays, down in the description box and the pinned comment below for your convenience if you're interested in checking out any of these books or trying out Audible. But going back to The Secret, I do want to be clear that I don't think that you can just sit there and envision the things that you want and everything is just going to drop into your lap. But I do believe in the power of positive thinking and aligning your thoughts with your actions. Number 2. The 5 Love Languages. I'm not joking when I say that this book probably saved my marriage because my husband and I have very different love languages. And in fact, we might have broken up if my roommate hadn't recommended this book way back when we first started dating, because he has a very gruff way of communicating and I felt like we were arguing a lot. So my roommate recommended I read the book, The 5 Love Languages, and it really opened my eyes and helped me see all of the ways that my husband was telling me he loved me without actually saying the words. But the other wonderful thing about this book is that it helped me really understand a lot more about some of the relationships that I've had in the past, particularly with my father, who I am convinced had the love language of gift giving. He was someone who rarely had a kind or positive word to say, but our birthdays and our Christmases would be just overflowing with gifts every single year. So if you have loved ones who you're struggling to communicate or get along with in your life, maybe check out this book. Number 3, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. This was the book that kicked off my decluttering and minimalism journey, but I just want to make a quick point here, which is that Marie Kondo is not a minimalist. I always see these articles talking about minimalism, and they always mention Marie Kondo because she really stands out in people's mind when it comes to decluttering, but decluttering and minimalism are not the same thing. And she even specifically says on her website that she is not a minimalist. But even though I'm a minimalist and I've probably taken decluttering a lot further than Marie Kondo has, I really appreciate her book because it's very clear in the steps that you can take to declutter your home and the progression of categories, of which there are 5, going from easier to harder, I also found very, very smart. I do think that the spark joy decluttering concept, while helpful, is a little bit too simplistic, and it misses a lot of the nuances of what it takes to let go, particularly for someone like me who is an emotional hoarder. But it was a great starting point for me, and I absolutely love her writing style. I find it very soothing and peaceful, and it's a comfort read that I sometimes go back to read here and there. This is also one of the only books that I kept a physical copy of after we decluttered 95% of our stuff and moved to Europe with 8 suitcases, and I can link a video up here for you if you're not familiar with my 30-year hoarder to minimalist journey. But I may or may not have a secret dream of someday getting Marie Kondo to autograph this book for me. How iconic would that be? Number 4, Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits is a must-read book for anyone who wants to change their life by creating positive habits that stick. The author, James Clear, provides practical and actionable advice on how to build good habits and break bad ones. And I love how he breaks down the science of habit formation into easy to understand concepts and provides a step-by-step framework for making small changes that add up to significant improvements over time. This book is jam-packed with real-life examples and inspiring stories that illustrate the power of tiny changes. I love how he breaks down the difference between goals and systems, and he says that systems are more important than goals because you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Goal setting was always a strength of mine because it was literally hammered into my brain as a speech-language pathologist, because setting clear goals isn't only important for knowing what goals you're working towards, tracking your client or patient's progress, but also being able to prove to the health insurance that you're making progress towards those goals so they can get the money that they need to continue treatment with you. But this book not only helped me get better at setting goals, but also at being able to build systems that help make it easier for me to achieve those goals, no matter what the goals are, whether it's keeping my home tidy or getting more exercise and eating healthier. So if you have big goals and dreams, this book is an excellent roadmap that you can unfold to help you figure out how you can get there. Number 5, The Highly Sensitive Person. I had never heard of the term highly sensitive person until I became a content creator here on YouTube, and I started seeing these videos popping up on my suggested feed. I found this book by Elaine Aron, and I love how it starts off with a 23-question quiz that can help you decide if you might be an HSP or not. And she notes that a score over 12 can indicate that you are highly sensitive, and I got 21 out of 23. So I guess what that means is I'm highly, highly sensitive. Those of you who have been around here with me for a really long time are not surprised by this information. This book also helped me understand some of the experiences that I had in the past and why I grew up hearing things like, you're too emotional, or you're too sensitive, or you cry too easily, or stop being such a baby. Big girls don't cry. And I also appreciate Dr. Aron's tips for how to deal with what she calls in her book over arousal, which is what happens to highly sensitive people when they're exposed to too much stimulation in the environment. And so knowing how to better protect myself and deal with that, even though I've been naturally doing some of this whole time, I've really picked up a few more tools to add to my toolkit on how to deal with situations like this. This book is worth a read if you think that you or someone you love might be an HSP, especially because HSP may be an inherited trait that's passed down from generation to generation. And I know that I'm already suspecting that my oldest son might have inherited the trait from me. So it doesn't only help me understand myself better, but it may also help me be a better parent to my son. Number 6. How to Win Friends and Influence People. I can't believe that this book was written over 80 years ago because the lessons that I learned about human behavior and communication felt just as applicable in today's modern society. I love how the book is divided up into principles, and there are a total of 30 principles in the various parts, and they're really easy to understand and implement through small, actionable steps. Some of the principles I've already been using naturally, like the one where he discusses how important it is to be able to remember and call people by their name. But some of the others were a bit harder, but no less life-changing, such as the one where he says that the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. And this one principle completely changed my life, because I no longer feel the pull to defend myself against mean comments from faceless strangers in the comment section of my YouTube channel, which has saved me so much time and done wonders for my peace of mind. As an introvert, I only wish that I had read this book when I was back in college, because it would have made the work that I did in customer service and retail, and then later as a speech language pathologist, so much easier and less stressful. Number 7. Essentialism. Reading this book felt like Greg McKeown was taking my inner thoughts and putting them into words much more eloquently than I feel like I ever could. And it actually made me question if I should stop calling myself a minimalist and consider myself more of an essentialist, because what he said resonated so much with me.
Merry Crisis!
I listened to this as an audiobook on Audible, and I like to clip sound bites and bookmark with quotes and things that I like to remember. And there was one part in chapter 13 called The Invisible Art, where Greg McKeown says, the non-essentialist thinks that to make things better, you need to add something, but the essentialist thinks that making things better means subtracting something. And this really spoke to me, because I know that when I was decluttering my home, the life that I wanted was already right there. It was just buried under so much clutter that I couldn't see it, and that I didn't need more stuff to make me happy and organize my home and solve my problems. What I actually needed was less. And it was the getting rid of all of that excess stuff part that made my life so much easier, calmer, and more fulfilling. And I also really appreciated how he touches on the importance of setting priorities, because if you don't set priorities for yourself in your own life, someone else will. So if you've been trying to find more clarity, purpose, and focus in your personal or professional life, this book is a must read. Number 8. Man's Search for Meaning. If you're not familiar with this work, it's by Viktor Frankl, who was a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust. Actually, I have trouble talking about this book as a highly sensitive person without getting really emotional, so forgive me if I start seeming a little bit emotional here. My family lives in Germany, and every day when I walk my kids to school or we go through our neighborhood, we pass on the street something that's called this stumbling stones, or Stolperstein. And basically what these are plaques with people's names on it and dates. And these are people who were taken from their homes and put in the concentration camps. And Viktor Frankl was in Auschwitz concentration camp, which is one of the most famous concentration camps. And he writes about his experiences as a psychiatrist from a psychiatric perspective as a prisoner who experienced the horrors of the German concentration camps. And there was this one example that he gave where it was coming up on Christmas, and he noticed, and some of the other doctors noticed, that a lot more people were dying after Christmas passed, more than usual, although deaths were very, very common. And they suspected it was because a lot of them had this hope inside of them that they would be free and be home before Christmas. And then when that didn't happen, they ended up giving up hope. And there's also a lot of observations that he makes about human behavior in the face of great suffering and how humans react, and how some go down a dark path and how some, no matter what happens to them, never lose hope and stay positive. I think that this book is just an absolute testament to the power of the human spirit and to hope and not losing faith and hope and goodness and light in the face of very, very bad situations. Number 9. The Power of Vulnerability. If you want to check out this book, I really suggest that you listen to the audiobook, because it's actually Brené Brown, and she is talking, she's giving presentations in several sessions, and they made it into this audiobook, and she is absolutely hysterical to listen to. She's hysterical, but then she also comes with these gut punches that just make you say, ooh, yeah, that's me, and that hurts, but it hurts in a good way.
Hi there, it's Editing Marissa here, and I just wanted to pop on and say that I didn't realize you cannot get this as a physical book. It's only available in audiobook format, which is what I was interested in since I got it on Audible. And you can watch her TED Talk, which is on YouTube, but the TED Talk is only like 20 minutes long, and as you can see, The Power of Vulnerability in the audiobook form is 6 hours and 30 minutes long, and it's got over 50,000 5-star reviews. I mean, it is just fantastic. But I just wanted to correct myself really quickly and say it's only available in audiobook form.
So this book is all about how we let shame and fear of judgment and other things hold us back in our lives, and how to become our best selves. We really need to open up and allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And that's something that I have definitely struggled with in the past. And I wouldn't be on YouTube here making this video for you if I hadn't overcome this to some degree, because I'm an introvert. Being in front of people, talking in front of people absolutely terrifies me. And so I had to overcome that hurdle that I had to be able to put myself out there so that I felt like I could be living my best potential and making a positive impact on the world, doing what I do, which is helping people transform their lives through decluttering and minimalism. One of the great things about this book is that after Brené Brown walks you through like the research on shame and funny stories about what it's like to feel ashamed and be vulnerable, then she also gives you some really helpful steps, which she calls guideposts to wholehearted living. And there's 10 of them. And these guideposts are things like cultivating authenticity and letting go of what other people think, cultivating self-compassion and letting go of perfectionism, cultivating your resilient spirit and letting go of numbing and powerlessness. I really love how she talks about what you need to let go of in order to open yourself up to have these other positive things come into your life. This is something that's very much a work in progress for me, and I'm sure that a lot of you might be similar, because most of us haven't built up these toxic patterns and these negative beliefs and these limiting beliefs that hold us back overnight. And so therefore it's quite hard to be able to let go of some of these things, and you need to change your mindset in a big way. So if that sounds like something that you need help with, definitely check out Brené Brown's book. Number 10, The Deepest Well. This book is about childhood trauma and how toxic stress can have a real measurable impact, not only on your body and your mind, but all the way down to your DNA. And I can't believe that more people aren't talking about this book. As someone who is a childhood trauma survivor and who has grown up around people with addictions and mental illness and other forms of what she calls in her book ACEs, this book not only changed my life and helped me understand a lot of the things that happened to me and why I became the way that I am, but it also helped me realize how important it is for us to let go and heal the traumas of our past so that we don't pass it down to our children, which happened to me. A lot of these things were passed down to me from my parents and my grandparents, and I don't want to do that to my children. And I think that this is such an important topic. I'm going to do a whole video on this book, The Deepest Well, in the next video. So if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you go down and hit the little red subscribe button and ring the bell to turn on notifications, because I don't want you to miss this. This research should be heard by everyone, especially if you're a parent. Also, one of the reasons that I'm making this video is because this month is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and I know that taking control of my mental health is one of the best things that I've ever done in my life. And if that's something that you need help with, make sure to go check out this video, or I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.